Execute, colloquially known as the egg Pokemon, actually shares much more in common with plant seeds than with eggs. It is simply its physical characteristics that earned it its category. If one looks closely at an Execute's shell, small cracks can be easily observed. These cracks highly correlate with the respective Execute's power level. The strongest Execute are often the ones whose shells have completely cracked, leaving an exposed yokai brain open to attack. While this exposed brain can easily be seen as a defensive weakness, trainers will quickly tell you that an Execute whose brain is exposed has much more telepathic power than one whose brain is fully encased. While an Execute's power can be easy to detect, its evolution has eluded many newbie trainers over the years. This is due to Execute being one of the few Pokemon to evolve only with the aid of a leaf stone. The leaf stone is often subject to study due to its unknown properties and its result being impossible to duplicate in a lab setting. The theory behind the stones is that they harbor core nutrients of an ancient plant. These nutrients act as biological rocket fuel for a few grass-type Pokemon, who usually evolve into a stage barely recognizable from their basic form. This rule applies to Execute, who evolves into Executor, the coconut Pokemon. Often referred to as the walking tropical forest, Executor's only similarity to Execute are the 3 egg-like heads it possesses. These 3 heads raise another unanswered question. Why are there only 3 when all Execute consist of 6 separate eggs? The most widely accepted theory is that after exposure to a leaf stone, a brief, but fierce, telepathic battle begins between the 6 eggs. The result of the battle is this: the strongest 3 go on to become the dominant heads of the Executor while the weaker 3 are broken down into the necessary nutrients needed to complete the Executor's new body. Scientists have been researching evolutionary stones for many years now, and there are still very few clear-cut discoveries of note. One such discovery, however, is that Pokemon are aware of the respective evolutionary stones which will have an effect on them. This becomes especially apparent in many Pikachu, who seem to become highly anxious when in proximity with a Thunderstone. In an experiment conducted recently, only 15% of Pikachu took up the stone when presented with it and thus evolved into a Riku. It is not known whether Pokemon are fully aware of the consequences of close contact with evolutionary stones, but results do seem to indicate that there is something in a Pokemon's psychology that makes it wary of such stones. Studies done on the brains of Pokemon showed a 55% increase in neurological activity when an evolutionary stone was in sight, showing that Pokemon, potentially subconsciously, are fully aware that the stones have some kind of life-changing potential. Evolutionary stone evolutions are so rare in the wild that it has been questioned if Pokemon even want to evolve. Or, if they do they need a trainer to harness the power of the evolutionary stone? Regardless, Thunderstones charge Pikachu up so much that it is packed with energy and its cells divide at double the rate, leading to drastic morphological changes and an increased ability to withstand, dish out high-power electrical attacks. The Nidoran family are common vermin within Kanto City districts. They breed like rabbits, feed like rats, and are as hostile as bears. Luckily, their lesser forms are easily controlled once discovered, and even their evolved forms can be managed if targeted appropriately. But if you leave Moonstone jewelry among the trash, you're in for a world of trouble, as the weak radiation from these gems are enough to trigger a most gruesome reaction in these venomous rodents. Multiple theories have been made regarding the true nature of the energy emitted from moonstones. Contrary to popular belief, it has nothing to do with lunar forces, as the affected species aren't necessarily nocturnal or active during the night. Instead, it's generally believed that the rocks give off gamma rays of a specific frequency, which can cause some species to evolve due to how readily it is absorbed into their genome. This affects their gene expression, and in turn, their hormone production, which causes their body to greatly change its composure. For the most part, this sudden metamorphosis still results in a creature which isn't too different from the stage before it, apart from some additional bulk or new features. But in the case of Nidorino and Nidorina, it's nothing short of a werewolf transformation, and the list of radical changes made to these species is long and constantly expanding. They go from being quadrupedal to bipedal, their torso becomes fully developed, and their skin grows thicker to function as both armor and poison storage. In short, no cocktail of growth stimulates could possibly come close to this sudden change in physiology. And while these hazardous behemoths prefer a life in seclusion, a rampaging Nidoking is a force of nature one would be unwise to underestimate. Litwick's evolution line is infamous for supposedly destroying the soul of any living creature in close proximity. The most terrifying of these is Chandelure, who can essentially kill its victims twice, once by incinerating the body and again by burning up the soul. Just about every living thing can rejoice in the fact that Chandelure is not found in the wild. However, it is entirely possible that a wild Lampent can find a dusk stone left behind by a careless trainer and use it to evolve. Why do occurrences like this not make headlines? It's quite simple, in fact. Chandelure is an unstable mutation of Lampent. A controversial study was performed by a group of scientists in Unova where a Lampent, a dusk stone, and several Grimer were left in a room together. The Lampent actively sought out the dusk stone to evolve and wreaked havoc on the Grimer. Mysteriously, before it could wipe out the Grimer or use up its own PP, the Chandelure collapsed dead on the ground. Chemical tests revealed that Chandelure's cells and DNA had essentially scrambled themselves, causing them to no longer support vital functions. While Unova's recent ban on destructive Pokémon testing has all but halted research, this is a popular theory among Pokémon trainers, who will often have to resort to extreme methods of care for their own Chandelure.